You knew that this was coming, right? You sure did.
They're just wandering around.
Hey, from Chicago, Miss Medina. Double shot from Washington State. Howdy do. Jeffrey Winston. Hey, man, you were talking to me. What's going on, man? You're important. I'm listening to you. You're an important man to
You're
me.
gonna do a testimony.
I'm going to do a testimony. Okay, got it, man. Will do. Thank you.
So we got one more person who's.
Oh, this is exciting, folks. Look, I know it's not, right? It's me. The camera's on me. The fact that we are taking things that once were, right? Doesn't this sound familiar? Watch this. Taking these things that once they were like, they had another purpose, they had and then repurposing it. Look at this. This is beautiful, isn't it? Look at the floors. I just want you to look at these floors right here. It did not look like this before. Okay? Just want to let you know about that. How many of you want to be fix and flippers? Let me know. How many rentals do we have here? How many? How many private lenders do we have here on the line? We got people from Washington State, Chicago. I know we had somebody from the Philippines earlier. Listen, all over the world, you can, okay? Because it's not about the product. Listen to this. This is wisdom now. It's not about the product. It's not about the service that you give. You know what it's about? It's about the relationships that you build. That's what it's about. Let me say it one more time. It's not about the product, okay? It's not even about the service you give. It is about the relationship that you build. Called networking, okay? However, it's so much deeper than that, right? Because relationships are powerful, and who you associate with will determine the outcome of anything you do, all right? What's going on, Double Shot TB? You're about to buy another house on a VA loan and rent your current house. Look at that. Congratulations, man. That's awesome. Double Shot, where are you at? Are you down there in North Carolina? Because I know, the only reason I said that is because North Carolina is hot right now. North Carolina is hot right now. So I want to know, Double Shot, where are you from? Are you from Washington State? That's another hot one, okay? Have you ever noticed, right? Did you notice that even when it's 2008, right? 2008, 2007, there were people still making money? Huh? How did that happen? Well, they were educated. Because the truth of the matter is, there's no ceiling in real estate investing. And there's no floor either, right? So that's why you gotta be educated, all right? That's why you have to tell someone else about, hey, there's this guy called CJ Wallace, and he is allowing us to see a little bit inside of what being a business owner looks like, right? About what being a real estate investor looks like, all right? Absolutely. We're letting you know. We're giving you a little bit, right? With the velocity banking, with the business credit, with the real estate investing. We're giving you just a smidgen of what we do, all right? That's why we're in another building right now, relationships, okay? They're very powerful, all right? So I want to basically, and I know a lot of you know this already, but I want to get that through, okay? Definitely want to get that through. Double Shot has a question. I haven't used my Net30 account in a while. I've only had 2. Would I have to use it again to have the reports current on DNB? Double Shot, that's a very, very good question, all right? One that will be answered as we go through, but let me just give you a little answer now and give you some insight. As you are going through and you're building that business credit, it's very important that you realize that some vendors, man, They're not going to report until 90 days. So your account has been aged 90 days. And some more, some less, okay? But keep that in mind, please, okay? And just know that business credit, okay, it's, of course, it's different than personal credit, worlds apart. And to me, business credit is so much better, right? Because they're a little bit more lenient. Okay, then not as much dings on your account for all of these, the maxing out the credit cards, you got to worry about the mix of accounts and you got to worry about this, you got to worry about that. The only thing you got to be concerned about in business credit is payment history. Now, this is one of the leaders that is talking right now. We still have 2 minutes until we break down this presentation. It's totally different, as you can see in the background, right? Totally different than what we're going to do, what we've been doing last week, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. It's going to be amazing. A little bit of what we do, what I've actually grown up in, and boy, it's awesome. So if you guys have any questions before we start, just let me know, please. Now I want to let you know about this right here. This is called the study group. Can you guys see that? Now what does that mean? Okay, study group, current topic, real estate red flags. What is that? Well, I'm glad you asked. Okay, the study group is all about helping the rookie investor get educated. There's Ray. What's going on, Ray?
Hey, what's up?
Yes. That's what it's all about. Okay, that's what it's all about. Real estate red flags. And the real estate red flags is all about educating those that don't know about what they should be aware of in real estate investing. We let them know what to be aware of in that class. But we have so many other classes, that'll actually teach you how to be profitable in real estate investing as well. Man, it's exciting. So 1.5 minutes left. Before we get underway, folks. So that's why my voice is kind of, down, because I know people are talking and everything. So we definitely want you to be a part of this. All right? We want you to be a part of this. We really do. So let's see what else I can. Oh, man. How in the world could I have forgotten that? Okay. So how many people on here have heard of Robert Kiyosaki, right? Have you heard of him? Well, listen. We actually teach you, okay, not the concepts, right? We teach you the procedures of how the banks, corporations, and governments, what they don't want you to know. We let you in on it, and we show you a way to get out of the rat race. Look at this. Cash flow quadrant. Okay, we're starting right now.
Thank you guys all for coming.
Okay, I'm starting. So I'm going to the front
Welcome
right now,
everybody
so you
to
can
our presentation tonight.
huge.
We've got a really dynamic partnership here. Two guys out
Watch
of
this. This is
Tucson,
gonna be huge.
real estate investors. These gentlemen control 3 companies. They have a fix and flip company, and they also present a business credit suite we'll be seeing called Wise Guys and Ties is their business number. And what's your third one?
1,000 Doors.
Your 1,000 Doors Project, which is a buy and hold company. And for example, this business here, in 1 year, these guys have been able to increase their net worth by $380,000 in this one business. So they're really rocking it. They work great together, and they're also, this information comes out of our Renatus education. And I've never heard this presentation myself, so I'm really looking forward to it. We will be able to be laser focused on them tonight because we're in a nice small group here. So let's give it up for Ray Fleming tonight. He's going to start us out. Thank you, Ray. Thank you guys for coming and making a drive down here. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, John. Appreciate that.
All right.
Oh, this is so exciting because this is the first time I've been here. And man, both John and Karen have done an amazing job with it. It's absolutely gorgeous. Great job.
Thank you.
Okay, so like I said, my name is Ray Fleming, and I'm one of the partners of Wise Guys and Ties. This is a consulting management company that specializes in helping businesses grow and establish business credit. So we really are the solution to so many different financing aspects that businesses face. And tonight, what you are going to find out is the how-to in the world of business credit. So to start us off, I'm up here to kind of get the show warmed up a little bit, but the first speaker that you're going to hear from to really dig into why this is so important is my business partner, Mr. Joseph Smith. Now, for those of you that have not met Joseph before, I'll tell you, this is a guy who is really what Renatus means. It means rebirth. So he is in the process of like a phoenix, of being just regrown from some ashes of destruction. I guess that's the way to say. No, but it's like, it's kind of like life beats you down, but this guy is a fighter. He will never give up, and he has taken both his knowledge, his drive, and his expertise in the world of business to not only just help hundreds of other people get into investing, but I mean, just last year alone, added another $700,000 of retirement funds to our companies to continue helping not only our companies grow, but helping other people grow their retirement accounts, which is super phenomenal. And at the same time, incorporating business credit to help all that happen. So, I mean, there's so much great stuff I could tell you about this guy, but I'm going to let him take the stage for now. And then, everybody, please give a nice round of applause for Mr. Joseph Smith.
You know, guys, the best way to grow your retirement account, help someone grow theirs.
This is full contact real estate investing.
Full contact.
Full contact. If you didn't bring your pads,
Oh,
sorry,
no.
I'm gonna have a disclaimer up there. I can't be held responsible. Hey, we're gonna go over a lot of information. It's gonna be like drinking from a fire hose tonight. So if you can't write it all down, don't worry. We took the notes for you. So if you text the word credit to 602-497-2257, you'll be able to download a 6-page guide that covers all the notes. We're going to go over how to build business credit in 4 easy steps. In fact, we've simplified it tonight to 7 steps, okay? But this guide is 4 steps.
Nice.
So, let's take a look here. 602-497-2257. And this is great because this is going to show you how, even if you don't have a business, how you can get started in this. By show of hand, who has a business in the room here? All right. So this is for you. Now, those who didn't raise your hands, that you don't have a business, guess
too.
what? This is for you.
Fabulous.
All
You
right?
got a business, the pink
So
one.
make
You got a
sure,
business.
hey, if you have one of these, that it's
Hey, you're a
silent,
barber?
because it really throws me off when they go some jingle jangle tune that I don't know. Okay, so where is my... All right,
Awesome,
so why are
awesome.
we listening to this big guy in front of the room, right? Because I could crush you if you don't listen to me, right? This is when I played high school football. This is me, number 57. That guy's having a very bad day. But I was very blessed after playing high school football to go on to play college football for Boise State. Who are the Boise State fans in the room?
Woo!
All right, go Orange, go Big Blue. Now, don't adjust your screens. This is actually a blue field. Okay, that's what it's like up in Boise, Idaho. Man, this was such a blessing. I got to play for 5 years up there and had a lot of great times. Right, here's my team for my senior year. That's me, number 57, if you can see it, right there. We won the championship, baby. I had lost this ring for a while. It was actually my mom who found it. So
Oh, nice.
give her some props. All right.
Oh, Mom.
So, I learned a lot about teamwork, hard work ethic. I learned about everybody has a specific job, right? You trust the man on your left and on your right to get the job done. And during that time, I had a lot of support from family and friends that encouraged me. I think that's a photo from my mom. Came out, hi Mom, coming out to support me. And then, of course, we had a big game. Now, I played for Boise State before they were really well known. Anybody who follows football knows, oh yeah, Boise State, they're WAC conference champion all the time. But back when I played for them, they were a little 1AA college, right? No one ever heard of them before. And this was the time where we were such a small school that other colleges scheduled us for their homecoming game. What does that tell you about us?
We play your team just for practice.
Yes. So here we are. This is the first time Boise State ever beat a ranked opponent. We're playing the University of Utah, and we beat them in a very close game, right at the wire. It was super awesome. And so after the game, it's so great to be in a stadium of 50,000 fans and win the game when time runs out, and there's just silence. And then we have our 10 fans over here going, yay! So our whole team runs over, and there's me. I'm singing the fight song. It was great. It was good. But all good things must come to an end, or change for the worse, depending on if you're a glasses half full, half empty kind of person. Change for the worse. But it's true. It just depends on how you look at it. So after my football days, what's a guy like me going to do?
What you gonna do?
Right? I'm going to put this brawn away everything, all your property, right? Strip search you, gave you your orange jumpsuit. Man, it was a pretty bad day. Believe me, for both of us, because I don't like seeing people like that either. But you know, this is actually a really depressing job because you're always catching somebody on their worst day. I mean, literally catching them on their worst day. So after that, I said, you know, I want to put my education to use. I went to college, so let's put the degree to use. So I went to work for the Department of Economic Security, CPS, Child Protective Services. So then my job came to be, if I knocked on your door and you were abusing your kid, I took your baby away. Right? So let me tell you, that was a really depressing job. That was even more depressing. Kind of missed my days in prison.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. In my life, everything that I was doing, I'm a man of faith. I was trying to do everything right. But things weren't quite going the way that I had planned. Because see, without going into too many details, you're going to learn business credit from me and my business partner tonight. And let me tell you why. Because I have 2 foreclosures and a bankruptcy on my record. Right? Isn't that the person? These are the credentials you want to hear before you learn about this stuff, right? All right.
That's the guy you want to listen to right here.
So 2 foreclosures and bankruptcy. So I'm working for the Department of Economic Security at this time, and I'm like, I'm trying to do everything right, but I feel like my life is a car accident in slow motion, and I'm watching us go over the financial cliff, and I'm looking at my wife Emily, and I'm like, because we have 4 kids, and I'm like, I don't know what we're going to do. Anybody here feel like that, or am I just the only one who went through a hard financial time? Okay.
Just you.
All right, just me.
It's just you.
But here's what happened for me. I'll tell you, what a blessing. My wife, she confronted me one day and said, you know, you spend more time with other people's kids than you do your own. Because she was right. She was right. I mean, I'm out there saving kids, but what about, you know, my teenagers? I'm not there, you know, they're going through school. I'm not there to do homework because I'm working 60, 70 hours a week, you know, and then I have little ones, and I'm not there. And so my wife is like, this has got to change. And she was right. So I'm praying to God, like, help me find something. And then, of course, you know, you see a sign, right? Some of you guys have probably seen a little roadside sign, right? But I listened to a radio show, and this guy was telling me about how he was 64 years old, lost everything in the financial collapse, right? At 64, and then got involved in real estate investing and made just under $200,000 in 18 months. I was like, oh, come on. If some old guy could do that, I got a little more pep in my step, right? I'm a football player. I could do that, right? So I wanted to go hear this guy and see if it was legit, and of course he was. He was doing real estate. He had done 13 deals in 18 months. Unheard of. How do you do that many deals? Well, it's because he took an education. He got educated. He formed a team. He created a system. Oh, it was amazing. So I needed to find out. I got educated, right? That's the path that we all have to go down, right? No matter what you're doing, I'm going to educate you on a lot of the things that I learned. Now, I started down the path of, hey, I want to learn how to do real estate investing. I'm flat broke, I'm busted, 2 foreclosures and a bankruptcy. Sounds like a good time to become a real estate investor, right?
The only way you have to go.
So,
Oh my goodness.
so I'm like, okay,
I'm living
I'm gonna
it.
go with that.
You got a good idea.
this is my moment, right? There's no way I could go any lower, right? There's only, you know, when you're at the bottom, you can only go up from there, right?
Yeah, you can make yourself older.
No, I was
Get through the rocks.
well, when you go through bankruptcy and then it's possible you lose your job, right? Then I could lose my job, and then you know you lose your house and your car, right? That happens next, and then you lose your wife, right? Usually in that order, right? So it gets worse. You're right.
Rocks there.
Right. Okay, but this story's about, you know, that sounds like a country music song, right? This is we're gonna do this in reverse order.
You forgot the truck too. You lost the truck.
Oh,
yeah.
Flat, broken, busted, wound up in Sierra Vista. All I got was this lousy T-shirt. No, but hey, it was such a blessing. Let me tell you what. Going through all of that, I knew what I did. I knew that I didn't know what I didn't know. How many people think, I watched HGTV, I can do that, right? Sure, why not? Hey, yeah. Who here thinks, you know what? I'll go out, I'll do a couple of deals, and I'll just figure it out as I go, right?
Yes.
That's like saying, I want to learn how to be a pilot. I don't want to go to pilot school. Just go hop in a plane and I'll just figure it out as I go. Right? How does that sound? Right? Anyway, if at first you don't succeed, don't try skydiving. That's all I'm telling you. Okay. That's words to live by right there. Okay. So back to the the reason why we're here, right? So I got educated, okay? I got educated, and then it began to change my life because I want to become a real estate investor. But guess what? What does it take to actually invest in real estate? What is it you need? Yes, you're saying it. Say it.
Money.
Money. And guess what? I didn't have anything of. I didn't have any money, right? It's not like, in real estate, you know, you need money. It's not like the kind of money where you say, hey, Mom, can I borrow $350,000 to do this deal?
No.
You know, you don't call up Mom.
No way.
You don't call up, right? You don't call up Mom to borrow that kind of money. So it's like, well, I need money. But the great thing about real estate is it does take money, but does it have to be yours?
Ooh.
I'm telling you, so I was like, hey, look, there's no way anybody's ever going to qualify me for any money. So I'm going to dedicate myself to figuring out how to find the money. Ray talked to you about how I raised last year just shy of $700,000. Who here thinks that you could do a deal, at least one, if you had $700,000 in the bank? At least one, right? Well, we were very blessed because we did 5 last year. All right, but that was none of my own money. To God be the glory. It was none of my own money, right? What we did is we learned how to help people with retirement accounts roll those funds and self-direct them into our company. But see, it didn't stop there because that's good. We got some initial money. That helps us acquire properties. But hey, once you acquire a property, like you purchase it, is that when the deal's done?
No.
Does it always seem like it needs more work? Oh, so now I need more money. Well, after you've just borrowed $700,000, do you go back and say, hey, can I have a little bit more? How does that look? No, okay, so now I've got to learn how to find even more money, which is why we found business credit. Because the great thing about business credit is you don't need a personal guarantee, right, to get this. This is money that you can go and find for your business. All right, so I'm going to tell you a little parable tonight. Now, I speak in terms of football. So who here is my football fans? Yeah, we're showing hands. Okay, perfect. Who here are not my football fans? Right, okay, got a couple. Good, this is for you. All right? So football is actually a game of real estate. So let's see, this is gonna fit. Okay, so actually, this is a story of Boise State and the 2007 Fiesta Bowl. Why am I telling you this story? Because this is the greatest football game that was ever played. And I'm not biased just because I played for Boise State, right? This is Boise State versus the University of Oklahoma. This was the first time this little upstart college made it to Division 1A, and they're playing for a championship. A chance, they're in the shot to become the best football team in the whole country. This little like Cinderella story. We all love the story of the underdog, right? David and Goliath. But this is Adrian Peterson when he played for Oklahoma. Oklahoma is the most winning college football program in the United States, okay? So these guys they know their way around winning championships. They've been doing it for a long time. But here's the parable that I want to tell you tonight, is because your business, whether you've been in business for a while or you're just a young upstart, is very much like a football team. Now, this football team, when it started at the season, did they say, we're all in our team meeting, let's say we're all the team, okay, what are our goals for this season? Who wants to just try and go 5-5 and maybe win homecoming, right? Is that what the teams do? Or do we say, we're winning the championship this year, baby. We're going all the way, we're getting gold. Which is it?
Getting the gold.
Gold.
Exactly. That's what you do. So as a business, when you start your business, you say, I want to struggle and barely make it and live paycheck to paycheck and have zeros and be in the red and just wonder, am I going to make it? Is that how we set our business goals? That's what the business I want to set up. Or do we say,
No.
or do we go into business and say, we're going for the gold. I want to build a company that goes to $1 million. I want to create a company that becomes a family company or legacy wealth that I want to pass on to the generations. I want to live the American dream. Right? Isn't that what we do? That's what we're here for. So that's what happened here. Boise State set their goal, and they had a winning season. They had an undefeated season, making it to this moment when they have a chance to play for the championship. But you guys already have. So give yourself a round of applause for making yourself a priority. Because you've already won half the battle right there. You showed up, right? You can't win if you don't even show up to play.
That's right.
So now you're here. You're going for it. So I don't know what your business is. Most people that I talk to do real estate because, let's face it, everybody's in the real estate business, right? You're either investing in your real estate or somebody else's, but we're all in the real estate business, right? So here you are. You're investing in your business. You just started. Maybe you've got a new product, something, a new service, and you're like, okay, we're going for it. Yes, we're going to make it happen. Brand new contractor right there. I know you have rental properties. This is your dream. You're just starting. Okay, so here's the parable. It follows the game. Boise State starts out 2007 Fiesta Bowl. Right off the bat, they score 2 touchdowns. They're up 14-0 against the Oklahoma Sooners. Right? This is amazing. You go out and you have some initial success. You made a commission. You got the deal. You did a flip and made $100,000. It was just like, whoa, the deal of the decade, right? But now, then what happens? Life happens. Okay, so if Boise State is you and your business, what does Oklahoma represent? Your competitors, life, the challenges, the obstacles that we face. Have you ever fumbled an opportunity? It was right there and you just watched it fall right out of your hands. You were going to make the deal and it got intercepted by a competitor.
Yeah.
Right? You lost it. Right? How many times were you just were tired and beat because the other people were just quicker or faster in some way? You just got beat. So here's what happens. That's what happens to Boise State. Same thing. Same thing in life that happens to us. They find themselves here at the end of the game on the 50-yard line. Score is Oklahoma University 35, Boise State 28. They're down by 7 points. There's only 18 seconds left in the game. It's 4th down and 18. For those who don't play football, here's what that means. That normally, you get a few plays and you go a little bit, what this means is they've got to cross 50 yards, half the field, and they've got to do it in one play. Now, for my football fans, when you're in that situation, it's 4th down and forever, right? What play do you call? You call the Hail Mary.
Yep.
Right? How many of us do that with our business? This is our last chance. I don't know if we're going to do it. I don't know if we're going to make it. We're going to submit the SBA application. We're going to go apply for that credit card, and I really hope they say yes. Who wants to put the future of your business on maybe some lender is going to say yes? Right? How often when you throw the Hail Mary does it get caught?
Not very often.
No, low percentage chance. It's a fluke if you actually catch it. And people, wow, how'd that happen? But if you have a strategy, if you know what to do, you can actually win. Because if this team, the Oklahoma, they know that you have to score in one play, so they go into a defense which is called prevent. We're going to prevent you from winning defense. Does it ever feel like that sometimes? Like, does it feel like everybody is stacked up against you, trying to prevent you from doing what it is you want to do? Yeah. Well, that's what they put everybody back. They're all saying, yeah, go ahead, throw it all the way down the field. We've got all these people back here. We're gonna stop you. So, what do?
Hey, Tanisha, good to see you.
If you know the right play to call, you can actually beat the prevent defense, which is what I'm going to show you here. What play do you call? In business, you call the play business credit. But let's see what play Boise State called.
Move the chains. A last gasp for the Broncos.
Francis legs might be critical here to save time on throwing the ball.
Down the middle. To the corner of the end zone. Can you believe that? In the final seconds of 4th down and 18. Montgomery. And it is good. Well, it's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog.
Beautiful lights. Did you guys hear that? It's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog. You know, you've got companies out there, Amazon, Walmart. These are big companies. If they go out and apply for a loan, you think they're going to get it? And those are the big dogs. You're just this little company. Who are you? You come walking into the bank and they're like, you're self-employed? Okay. Come back when you got some P&Ls. Right? Right? I mean, am I the only one who's tried to, I'm self-employed. Oh, that's actually, means you don't like me. So, here's the thing. That was a little, what's called a flea flicker. It was an amazing play, but here's the point. They knew what to do because they had set that play up. They were ready for that. And they knew that did they win the game with that? No, all they did was tie the game, right? But they set themselves up for success. Now, I told you, the greatest football game in the history of football. And if you stick around to the end, I'll show you how it ends. But tonight, what we're going to show you is the entrepreneurial playbook for success, for building business credit. Now, when you go to apply for a loan, I have to give a couple examples. I'm sorry, I'm looking at that. Okay, so I don't know who these yahoos are, but they own some real estate company in Tucson that just bought a few properties. They use business credit on rent. Okay, so you own rentals. Who else owns rentals? Okay, so we've got a couple of renters. So when you have a rental property, and it's important to keep what on hand? Keep a little extra what on hand? Cash on hand, right? Because, do water heaters bust? Right? Do air conditioners go out at the, most inopportune time? And then, do buildings flood? It happens. So here's the deal. You got to have that cash on hand to pay for it. So when you're charging your rent, is that just money in the pocket, or is that like, how that looks like money in the pocket, but I better go set that aside just in case, you know, something happens, right? So we have a training where we go into this in great depth. But what if you take a business, right? You have a business that you purchase your rental properties in. That business builds $50,000, $150,000 in lines of credit that's attached to the business that's for the property. Now, this is lines of credit. So if the air conditioning and the furnace goes out and you get a $15,000 bill, who's responsible for that? You, the landlord. But instead of having to have money that you set aside for that, could you pay for that off of a line of credit? A business line of credit? So instead of having to come up with $15,000, would it be much easier to pay $150 a month? You know, interest-only payments on that? Where could we get the money to pay those interest-only payments? Oh, thank you. I wonder where, let's see, we're a landlord, we have a rental, we're collecting rent. Where are we going to get the money to pay for the line of credit?
The tenants.
Call mom again.
From the rent money. From the rent money. So here's what's great. Having lines of credit as your safety net, so that when you actually bring in money, wouldn't it be nice to actually like, that is your cash flow? Because your money that's set aside is in your line of credit, your business line of credit. That's awesome. Oh, but here's my business partner from Florida, Stephen Weibel. Back in 2007, what was happening in 2007, 2008?
That was when the real estate crashed.
Yes, and he was the number 5 realtor in all of New Jersey. And all of a sudden, boop, what do you think happened to his business? It went boop, too, right along with it. So here's the great thing is he chose to build business credit back in 2007. So when 2008 hit, he had an excellent business credit rating. So when everybody was underwater and entire subdivisions were all for sale, right, in the yards, he was able to get with a hard money lender and say, look, you acquire the properties, I'll bring in my business credit, I'll rehab that. He bought 32 properties, all short sale, one huge deal, all at once. Then quickly turned around, sold half of them, 16 of them, paid off the hard money lender, turned the other 16 into rentals. This was back in 2008. Now, fast forward to today, he has over 150 rentals all across the eastern seaboard. But guess who's now a private money lender or hard money lender?
Yep.
Right? Because business credit positioned him to take advantage of that great opportunity. Now, does anybody think that we might be headed for a market downturn anytime in the future?
Yep, every second.
No, just watch the elections and whatever, you know, whatever happens, depending on whoever you like, it could go one way or the other. All right, so where do you go when you need money to invest in real estate? Where's the traditional, but hey,
Bank.
right, where did you get the money to buy your house?
Bank.
From the bank, right? Where do you go to, so, here's the thing that happens though. Look at all these people. These are wonderful business owners. You have 10, there's 10 of them up here. 10 small business owners go to the bank looking for some kind of loan or line of credit. They go, they apply to Mr. Bank. How many of them actually get approved for their loan?
1 or 2.
Just this guy. Just this guy. What? How can you win in an environment where 90%, why is that? Look at it, because 90% of all businesses fail within their first 5 years. Think about that. Put yourself in the bank's shoes for just one moment. Think about their business model. How do banks make money? I lend you money, you pay it back with
Interest.
interest. Now, if you're out of business, bankrupt, and broke, do I make any money off of you? Okay, so, I mean, come on, they're in business for a reason, right? Right? They're not running a charity. So they know that 90% of all businesses fail. So when you're a bank and you know that stat and everyone's coming to you for money, you're going to tighten your lending restrictions. You're going to create several hoops for people to jump through to see how serious they are, how committed they are. And then, and only then, if they go through the whole process, you'll give them a little bit of money, but they're on a very, very short leash. So here's what tonight's about. Tonight, we're going to show you how to be this guy, right? Because if we go back here, why did these people not get approved? Well, that person doesn't have enough cash flow. This person has no business credit at all. What about this one? This person has no collateral. This person, we have a character issue with that one, that one, that one. They might be perfectly fine, but there's discrepancies in their report that tell us that there might be a problem here. Because here's a little bit of information you want. You want to write this down. Anytime you're applying for $150,000 or less at a bank, you're not even talking to a human being. You might talk to a physical human being, but who's actually running your application?
Computer.
It's a computer,
Algorithm.
right? A computer algorithm. And you put in a certain address, you put in a phone number, you put in an email, whatever it is. If it doesn't match somewhere down the line, they say, oh, red flag. This could be potential fraud, and you're out. Yeah. So a lot of what Ray is going to teach you tonight is how to beat the computer system, because there is a certain way where you can get to the point. Because once you beat the computer system, then you get to an actual human being, an underwriter, and then your chances of getting approved go up significantly because you're actually talking to a human being. So tonight is the pathway to be the man. Or the woe man. All right? So, I'm going to bring up my business partner, Mr. Ray Fleming. And here's why it's so important that you listen to him, because he's going to go over all the steps, the 4 steps that we've shortened into 7. Okay? He's going to go over all of these steps. You think I made a mistake, but that's true. It's 4 steps that we shortened into 7. I'll let him explain that. But here's the thing. Here's why you want to listen to him. This guy has started more businesses than I have fingers and toes. Okay? He knows how to set up a business, right? He's had a few of them that he probably didn't set up as well as he'd like to. He's had an eBay business where he literally fixed and flipped junk. Go buy something here and somebody over here. You know, one man's trash is another man's treasure, right? He's had a kettle corn business. Who doesn't like kettle corn, especially in the winter time? Yeah. So good. But he's had a landscaping business, a handyman business. He's been a subcontractor. He's done fix and flips, wholesales. I mean, he does a fix and flip just, I don't know, about a year and a half ago, and he makes $37,000 in net profit. This is a guy we can learn a lot from because he's been there. He's applied it, he's learned it, and if you pay attention to what he shares with you tonight, you're going to be that guy. You're going to be that business that qualifies when everybody else can't. So everybody, please put your hands together for Mr. Ray Fleming. Oh, you stood down. Come on. Let's look cool.
Come on, look cool. You're on camera. There we go. You're live.
Oh, wait.
Here we go. Come on.
It's like,
You're live.
it's like up and then down.
Here we go.
Right?
Come on. Let's do it. Do it. Do it. Yeah.
Ray Fleming.
I thought we were like Rams and we were going to like just like. That's okay. Okay, perfect. So, all right. What are we? Some good stories. That's why I like working with Joseph. I mean, the excitement, the energy, the enthusiasm, man, just feel it. Good job. All right, so, let me tell you a little bit about myself, and that way you know where I'm coming from. Very similar to Joseph, had 30 jobs before I was 30, so of course that makes me completely credible. But, has anybody ever worked? You're a little bit cooler here, but have any of you ever really worked out in the summer heat?
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes.
you're my people.
Oh,
you know
yes.
what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Working on those roofs.
Yes.
Oh, and you have about 10 degrees cooler than Tucson,
Yes.
but up in Tucson it's really hot. And so that's where I spend most of my time, out there working on projects, working for other people on their rental properties, on the roofs, working on swamp coolers and things like that. And I remember this one day in particular. I was working on this project, and I'm on the roof, and I was swapping out I was just completely replacing the swamp cooler up there. I was sitting up there working on this, and for, I'd say it had been about a year that I'd been doing my own little handyman business. And so I had the landscaping thing going, I had the handyman thing going, but I loved it, but I also resented it. I loved it because of the flexibility. I loved being my own boss. I loved how I could go up and spend 3 hours working and make $500 in 3 hours. I loved that aspect about it. I loved the flexibility of being able to set my own hours. I liked all those things. I just didn't like the summer on roofs. I couldn't stand it. And so I was up there sweating, and the sweat was burning my eyes. I'm just like, it's like, it feels free, but I feel like I'm a slave to like my foreman. He's always telling me what to do, and this guy, he's always telling me what to do. My customers are always yelling and complaining, like, why? And it was like the clouds opened up.
You guys,
like
share this with your friends right now.
Like,
we're going to be getting into business credit.
But it wasn't God. It was actually just the sun reflecting off of a black Porsche. So I thought it was a life-changing vision, but well, I like shiny, fancy objects. If anybody's gone through any of Woody's stuff, I'm definitely a director executive. I like nice things, and so that's kind of why, or how I'd always chosen job paths. How can I make a lot of money? I didn't know what I needed money for. I just wanted to make a lot of money. And so this guy gets out and he's wearing a suit.
You gotta get the right trade lines.
That's what it was. I need to be a realtor. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go be a realtor because this guy is making the big bucks. And then so after he drove off, I go down and I'm talking to this guy, John. And I'm like, hey, John. It just so happened. He was running the whole show there. I'm like, who is that guy? You know, who does he work for? This and that. And he's like, oh, he owns a house. Okay, so he owns this house. Fancy, must be some type of business manager or something like that. He's like, well, he also owns that house that we're working on. I'm like, oh, okay, wow. He owns all these properties. That's pretty crazy. This guy was like 40. I'm like, and he's not a realtor? It's like, no. He's an investor. This was the first time that I'd heard about really being an investor. I was like, okay, but that's cool. He probably had a bunch of money left to him by his family. That can't help me because I'm broke. And so it's like, Ray, he writes your checks. He's the guy that just handles everything. He owns all this stuff and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, like somebody just left the trust fund baby. Like that was in my mind, younger guy, controlling real estate. Somebody gave him all that. He didn't, that was just handed to him. That was my perception. And I had a belief that had gone through me with life that if people had all that, most of the time they had it handed to them. Or maybe you won the lottery. And so I went to the banks. I went to all these banks and I was, okay, I've been in business for a little while. I haven't ever really used my credit, so I should be able to get a house because I could literally do everything in a house. I can do from the ground up. I could literally build a house and it'd be beautiful. Not as nice as John, but it'd be livable. So, but did you know they didn't like me because they said I was broke and I didn't have a job? Anybody try to get money when you're self-employed? They just laugh at you. I mean, at least in my class, they're like, well, we need to see your profit and loss statements. And I had no idea what that even was. I was basically running everything in cash. I didn't even know how to set up a business at this point. I was doing everything wrong. And so the next bank I went to, they said the same thing. There's a stagecoach on the wall, so they're probably just trying to rob me anyway. Sorry.
Oh, gotta edit that out.
Which now I gotta figure out because there's another thing with the C. We're not even gonna go there with the other bank, but the new bank.
I'm gonna chase you away. Oh, never again, man.
Okay, so anyway, back to where we were. My next plan was to go down to the gas station to buy a lottery ticket because I really had no idea what I was going to do. I'm serious. And I even called my friends on the way because it was like a big thing, and I'm like, hey, dude, pool some money, and that was my next business model, is pooling funds for lottery tickets. And I don't know. Does anybody else have that same business model? Because I did, and it didn't work. Which I'm really glad it didn't, because there was no contracts. If somebody had actually won $300 million, I don't know what would have happened. Somebody would have shot somebody, probably. I don't know. It wouldn't be me.
I'd become your friend.
Right. Everybody would have been my friend. And I would have been broke. But I like the path I had to go through. I like that I found Renatus because it showed me how to control things and manage things wisely. And that's really what led me here today, is being able to, get some of these cool things done. These are all different properties that either myself or Joseph have been involved in over just the last 18 months or so.
2 years.
The first one.
Yeah. 2 years.
Just saying.
This is the last one that we just did. The 35 days from the time we bought it at auction, fix it up to closing. That was pretty cool. That was cool. And now there's a great new family that lives in there.
Wow.
This is one of our rental properties.
Beautiful.
And did people know what happened?
You might want to save that story for later.
Okay. Something very exciting just happened here. Super exciting. We went through our first eviction, and that was a learning experience. And so we got them out, and we spent about $1,500 to get it all nice and ready. And then we had another really exciting learning experience. So we'll come to that a little bit later. But it is so important, and it's a huge opportunity to learn something great. But to understand what business credit is, we want to compare this to what you already understand. And many of us already understand personal credit to some degree. So what is SSN?
Social Security number. Employer identification number.
Perfect. So Social Security number for individuals, EIN number, the employer identification number, works similar to a social, but for a business. It's the tax ID number. Now, on your personal side, what is a perfect credit score?
780.
850. It depends who they're pulling from.
That's right. It does depend,
Ooh,
but most of them
nice.
are 850.
Did you know that?
There are a few models that have all the way up to 900, but majority of
850
the
is the
scoring
perfect credit
models
score.
are 850. What about on your business side? What is a perfect business score? If you're not quite sure, that's what we're going to cover tonight. Now, back to your personal side. If you wanted to find out your personal credit score, where would you go? Who would you ask?
TransUnion, Equifax.
And
Experian.
Experian. So there's hundreds of them, but those are the big three bureaus. Exactly. So Experian, TransUnion, Equifax. Now, if you want to check your business credit score,
Okay.
where do you go?
Where do you go?
Dun Breads.
There's one. So if you're not quite sure, we're going to cover that tonight. Because is it the same? I don't know. Maybe. Let's see. What affects your personal credit score? So what will either make it go up or down?
Late payments, repossession, foreclosures.
Late payments for sure. So foreclosures, that's not making your payments. That's the biggest thing. That'll ding you the most. 35%.
High debt.
High debt.
And debt to income ratio,
And then-
utilization.
How many times the credit has been pulled?
Inquiries. Perfect. Write down. You run it down the list. So obviously 35%, 30% utilization. Everybody understand what utilization is?
How you use your funds.
How much you're available is to you and how much of percentage of that
You
that
use.
you actually use.
Perfect.
Say that?
Yeah. So let's say you have $1,000 limit on your credit card. If you are carrying a balance of $500, then your utilization rate is at 50%. So really anything over, 3% negatively affects you. But your score can still go up until you go over that 50% use mark.
Yes.
Then it starts to actually really negatively impact your score. We also have age of accounts. That's another factor in your personal credit. So do lenders want to see that you have nothing but a bunch of brand new credit cards? Or do they want to see that you've had credit lines for 10 years?
You don't want to see the year
Yes.
history.
Yeah, they want to see that age. That's why actually, if you have an old credit card and you end up closing that account, it will actually hurt your score. Also, mix of accounts. So they want to see that you're able to use a lot of different products, so that you have a credit line, you have a mortgage, you have a home loan, a student loan. They want to see that you have an assortment of products. They like to see that as well. So on the business side, what will affect your business score? Is it the same?
No, it's just how, if you pay on time.
Perfect. So John says payments, we'll cover that tonight. Now, when we started this and I mentioned personal credit, everybody should have gotten a 3-digit number in their head, right? Well, hopefully a 3-digit number. So wherever you are right now, how long will it take for you to get to an 850?
Probably
Forever.
Right. Now, if you're like my financial genius of a business partner, and he's got five foreclosures and 6 bankruptcies.
And a bankruptcy.
It's gonna be forever. No, it really will. But it's one of those things that as soon as it starts getting good enough, most of the time we end up using it. So most of the time we can never even make it that high. How long does it take on your business? That's what we're gonna go over. Oh, so I do need a little disclaimer. I love reading disclaimers. No. So I am not licensed, no specific counsel. I'll do this as fast as I can. Okay. I'm not a licensed attorney, accountant, financial advisor, broker, or any of the licensed individual, even if I have a license and acting in that capacity. Therefore, when I discuss providing specific counsel advice, instruction will apply to specific individuals. Presentation intended general information only. Wise Guys and Ties LLC recommend you engage your service of professionals making decisions that will have a legal impact, especially financial decisions.
I thought I left my wife at home.
So, what does that mean? That just means I'm off the hook, so I can say whatever I want now and
Go ahead. Don't agree with you.
won't get into trouble for whatever I say now. No, but this is just general information, not necessarily your unique situation is unique.
Is it up to us to do our own due diligence?
It is up to you to do your own due diligence. But now that I have the disclaimer, I am perfect in
In the
everything
clear.
I say. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, I like polar bears. They're pretty neat. I also like being cool. I don't like being hot.
Yes.
Now, the reason for
You are
this
cool.
is, who's looked in a mirror lately?
Who's what?
I have.
A mirror. Have you
I'm
looked-
cool
a
and
mirror.
hot.
Yes.
Could you, do you know what your face looks like? Do you know what you look like? You know what you look like, right? Right. I know what I look like. I know what I look like better than anybody else. I mean, I like sit there in the mirror and I'm like, oh, what is this? I'm like that, this, and that. So, but the question is, that's us. We're an entity. We have created businesses. Those are other entities. The question is, are you looking at your businesses in the same way that you're looking at yourself? This is very important to understand. What are we putting out there for everybody to see? And many times we do it and we don't
What up, Bernard?
keep examining to make sure everything looks right. And it could be just down to those little moles and things like this. And I do it for myself, but I don't do it for my business. And this is very important because if we don't know what other people are seeing, how do we know what we're putting out to lenders? For example, would you show up to a lender not wearing clothes? I mean, you're not going to get welcomed into the bank.
Right.
At least most of the banks I go to. I don't know. But that's the thing is, sometimes we show up with a business that doesn't even have clothes on. And that's a problem.
Okay.
So this is my little princess. That's actually when she was a lot younger. But what is another thing that is super important, which is still important, is this pillow. She carries this pillow everywhere with her. And so I call her the pillow whisperer because she can hear that pillow cry in a crowd of people. But every kid at some point in their life will have something that they're attached to. She just happens to be completely fixated on this pillow, and it still carries through to today. It has its little tiger stripes and things like that. But the importance of this is, I've tried to get rid of this pillow. I've tried to replace this pillow. I've tried to wash this pillow. I've tried to cover the old pillow. I mean, we've tried everything to try to wean her off of this. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. She knows, like, okay, so grandma even took the exact same fabric and stuffed it the exact same way and sewed a brand new one that didn't look nasty. And then it was, nope, I don't want that. Because I know what makes me feel right and I feel comfortable with this. Lenders are the exact same ways. So lenders, in the dark, they just know by instinct what is a credible business. And that really comes down to the computer. Because it's very, very hard to beat a computer. So if you do not have the exact thing that they're looking for, they're gonna pull it out in a second. They're gonna say, no, that does not line up, and basically label you as having a character issue. And that's exactly what it is. It's so hard to beat a computer at its own game. But many times we end up treating our businesses like hobbies. I used to have a hobby of using model cars. I would save up money doing little chores around the neighborhood to go buy this. What about our businesses? I've had several businesses where I invest money into it, but I'm not really making a return. And so it usually ends up being a hobby. Banks, lenders, they want to know how serious you are. They want to know if you're treating your business like a hobby. And a lot of things that we're going to cover today represent that you are treating your business like a hobby and not an actual business. And that's why lenders won't want to give you money. And one of those specific things is the most important part, your business name. What is your business name? Anybody? I'm afraid to ask it. Who wants to share a business name?
One of my contractor does is going to be GP Construction and Handyman LLC, already active.
There you go.
There you go.
GP Construction Handyman Services. That sounds good. I like that name.
Red flag.
Yes, there you go. But
Yeah.
but it is a good name. It is a good name. It sounds like a good name, but lenders get a little weary of that name. And I'm going to tell you why. What about Ben? Is Ben a good name? Is a wholesome name for a person? I mean, who knows a Ben?
I know Ben. Yeah,
Okay.
Ben's
Anybody
great.
know
Ben's a great
somebody
name.
that knows a
Benjamin.
Ben?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, Ben.
All right. So is Ben a bad name?
No, not at all.
Okay. So what if it's in the wrong context though? Like this guy. He's a real estate agent. His name is Ben Dover.
He's on the news. He's on the news.
No, but right. He's on the news, and so you're like. I actually went to school with a guy named Benjamin Dover, and also Timothy Burr, and so they always got made fun of, Tim Burr and Ben Dover. Like that was, I don't know why anybody would do this. It's just not fair. Now, is Dover a bad name? No, it's not. Is Ben a bad name? No. But putting it into the context of Ben Dover gives the wrong message, and if you're a young person, you're going to get made fun of. That's really what it is. Lenders have words that they don't like. They don't like the word real estate because real estate's a risky industry. They don't like the word real estate. They don't like the word investments.
Right.
Now, it's not that they don't like the word, it creates confusion. Real estate is confusion. They don't know if it's something that they can trust yet. Investments, they don't know if that's something they can trust. Because is it another financial institution? Is it a brokerage of some sort? Are they trading securities? Do you see how a lender might start to get some confusion on that? Lenders are not legally supposed to lend to other lenders. So, well, are you lending? Are you a financial institution? It creates so much confusion, which is why all these little ducks need to be in the row. And if they're not, it's still doable if you have a name that is in what they call the high-risk industries. So Contracting is a high risk industry. Pretty much any small business you can start is a high risk because most of them get treated like hobbies and most of them end up failing. That's really what it is. So they don't like these words, and so even if you've done it, that's okay. Not saying you need to run out and change your business name tomorrow, but we need to really start doing some deep reflection and make sure all of our documentation is exactly the way we want it. We end up sending people into many directions. So first, we got to really focus on what our name is. Got to focus on making sure we have a good name. I like using names that you can't really pinpoint it to one specific thing. Not to say the name's not a good name. I like using now because one of my first businesses was Northwest Yard and Handyman Service. It's a good name, right? I liked it.
Yes.
I liked it. I thought it was a good one. Now I have RJF Development or JJ&R Enterprises. It's like you don't really know what it is. Doesn't work very good for marketing, but you know, like Wise Guys and Ties.
What is it?
Yeah. Is it like a mafia thing? You get that a lot.
Wise Guys?
So we have our name, and then when we're setting up our business, what address is on the paperwork? This is very important. So in the beginning, I did not have the money to buy an office or rent an office, so I used my home address. Well, lenders don't necessarily like home addresses. You can still get funds, but they're gonna limit how much money you can actually get because they know statistically most home-based businesses are hobbies or fail. Now, of course, we know that there's million-dollar companies that run out of people's homes, but that's not the norm. The norm is just little hobby startups. The ideal, they want to see an office. But if you're to start a business, how are you, just take a couple $1,000s to start an office, get a lease, and then a couple $1,000s a month? I mean, is that really realistic? Can most people do that? It's really not. What about a P.O. Box? Because when I started, I went online and I said, okay, I need a business address. Where can my business be? And I went on a forum and they said, go to the UPS store, go to mailbox, etc. Because you can get an actual suite number instead of a P.O. box.
Nice.
But when I went to the bank, they're like, well, where's your business? I said, it's here. It's 565 North 1st Street, Suite 115-336. And they're like, wow, that's a big building. Thank you. I'll be here all week. But they have Google. They knew. He's like, well, do you own the UPS store? And I'm like, he knew it was an UPS store because he just Google searched it. I'm like, ugh, that didn't work out. And I just spent, I don't know, $200 for the year. Virtual office. These are fantastic.
Yes.
This is where you want to be, a virtual office. So earlier, showed you the card, and it says Mesa. We have an office in Mesa that costs us $40 a month. And if we're in Mesa, we can utilize that office at an hourly rate. It's like an executive office type place, but we have our mailbox there. There's a receptionist there that can receive packages and mail for a very nominal cost each month. Now, the important thing is, on a virtual office, you want one where you can get a private mailbox number. So this is a big difference. If you're going to use a virtual office, private mailbox number, that way, you don't just get thrown into the group of everybody else. Make sense?
That does make sense.
Virtual offices, there's a lot of companies out there. There's Alliance, there is Regis. These are national companies. You can go on there and see which ones are in your local area. I'm sure you have a few here down in Sierra Vista. Do you?
Wanted to search.
If you don't, perfect. You should start a virtual office. Just having a file cabinet for some mail, $35, $45 a month.
Oh my word.
Or did you just use Karen's house? That's what I did. No, see, when I had my handyman business and I had my landscaping business, I had trailers, I had tools, I had this, I had this, I had that, I had that. I mean, I didn't want people coming by my house because they're going to steal all my stuff. So I sent them to my mom's house. That's where my legal address. Well, so my mom, I came over to my mom's house one day, and there's some guy walking out in the front yard, and I'm like, Mom, like, I do your stuff all the time. Like, why didn't you tell me? They're like, oh, this guy showed up looking for you. He wanted to see if you had work. And I just told him, I was like, well, I got these weeds. So she was actually getting people that were wanting to come try to get work, like, you know, have me hire them. They kept showing up at her house. And then she would just pay them, like, in cash to go do things around her house.
Wow.
I don't even know who these people are. But, she's awesome. But this is what happens is, even as we start progressing through our business. So in the beginning, perfect. File our documents with our house. Totally cool. But then, you know, we make a little money. Now we can get a virtual office. Okay. Then we got to go back and change that. We had a business license. And we had, you know, a P.O. box on there. We need to change that. The idea is, as we move along, we need to make sure every single thing is the same. So Secretary of State, IRS, your bank, everybody has the same address and the right address. Okay, so we're going to do a little giveaway. And the giveaway is you win your choice of snacks or cookies that are on the kitchen table. Okay, so I'm going to show you a little problem here, a little visual problem. And the first person to know the answer, or can see what's wrong, raise your hand, okay? All right? Don't worry, you don't need any no calculators or anything. All right.
Use purpose for the mistake here. Oh, you want me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I would say that 4. I'm just saying 4 is a. Yeah.
Nope, not 4.
Okay.
Ooh, this is good. Can you spot a mistake here?
Oh.
I think you're on it. Yeah. You got it.
The 8 and the 4's colors don't match.
Nope. What did you say?
No.
I think you have it. I think
There's
you
no
know.
0.
I think you have
There's
it.
no
What
zero.
would you say?
I want to say the 5.
The 5.
Were you thinking something along the lines of this?
Ooh.
That is right. That's right.
Ooh.
Spot's
Good
on
job,
there
the pink
twice.
lady. Good job, Mrs.
Spot's on there
Medina.
twice. So
Awesome.
Spot.
Yeah.
And you spot.
My name's Spot, though.
Okay, so the important thing is, because when I first saw this, I did not see the second spot. I just like, can I spot a mistake here? I don't know. Did anybody else do that where you just kind of read right through it? Okay.
Sure, first time.
I'm sure there's other things like this, you know, count how many F's are in this sentence, you know, or things like that.
What we did usually is see the numbers instead of the sentence.
Right.
That is totally wrong there.
Totally wrong.
Well,
Yeah.
the sentence.
Well, right. So the sentence is totally wrong. But sometimes our brain will make these little, we'll just skip over things like that because,
We speed read.
right, trying to save energy, brain power.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I am guilty of this. I look at, and yes, the next issue is with the 4. The issue is with the 4. I don't know why. Apparently Karen has something against this 4.
Yes.
I want a number 4.
That's all right.
Oh, the number.
Sorry, sir, you're just gonna have to leave.
Yes. Number 4, we're gonna have to ask you to leave.
0? Where's the number 0
You're
there?
not welcome here.
I want the 0 there.
And the 0. There's supposed to be a 0
This
there.
place used to be a dentist office and we're just pumping gas.
Yeah.
Your husband has to leave.
That's
Yeah.
the issue there.
Oh, Now,
Oh
so
my goodness.
I had a point to this. I can't
Attention
remember.
to detail.
No, but so as we're going through these things, I literally, we talk about this stuff all the time. Talk about this all the time. You know, check your documents, check this, check that, check this. We both signed on the newest business. We signed the wrong street address. We authorized it. And then we have a little lady who her job is to build business credit for our businesses. That's what her job is. And she's like, you're gonna have to go get an address changed. This address is wrong with the Secretary of State. I just looked at them, I'm like, well, it's nothing we did. I mean, I'm like, or actually I was like, what'd you do? But no, looked on there and it was the direction.
Ooh.
No, it wasn't
street?
the direction.
The street?
Yeah, I still don't even know what the issue is.
Was it the street?
It was the street.
We had it listed as Hayden Street.
Hayden
Hayden
Street,
instead
not Hayden Road.
of
And I saw it, he saw it, and maybe it's because I don't know what it is. It's a virtual office in Scottsdale, so one of the companies has a Scottsdale address that costs $45 a month. But it has but that office, we can go and we can work there, we can meet clients there. It's a fantastic thing, especially since we do so much travel.
As long as we're on Hayden Road.
And that was the thing, is we both sat there and read this.
Road,
And did not
not
think
street.
twice. Both signed it, both filed it, and then we ended up having to pay $125 to have it changed from RD or
Road.
ST to
ST.
RD.
Ooh.
Now, why is that worth $125?
And 4
Matt
weeks.
Ferguson.
No, but why is it worth that to change it? Why is it so important to change
Because
it?
you'll get.
Yeah, and then we had our
You'll
attorney
get
do it.
kicked out of the computer, will kick you out for mismanagement.
That is right. Computer won't miss that. Computer won't miss it at all. That's what I'm talking about. With everybody, even the abbreviations. If somebody's abbreviating it, everybody's gonna be abbreviating. Most are gonna be abbreviating because they go by what the Postal Service legal address is. That's what they go off of. Next, after you make sure that your address and everything is spelled out perfectly, and we'll go through all the agencies you want to double check. When was the last, now, we don't have any of these really in Tucson. Do you have any of these in Sierra Vista?
What
Hey,
is that?
watch
They've all
it.
been torn up.
Can't believe.
Hey,
I'm not sure.
does anybody
I'm
here
not
know
sure.
what that
You guys
is?
are a little bit like 10 degrees
Don't
colder
tell
than
him.
Tucson. I don't
Who
know
knows what
they're
that
not.
is?
15. Hey,
Do you know what that is?
CJ's like,
Do you know what that
no,
is?
he's sorry.
I don't think Janae knows.
I'm older.
Okay, so what about these? Do they still deliver?
Yeah.
Yes. They
Yes.
still
I think
deliver
so.
phone books.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
are
We get a little
booster
desk
seats for
one.
kids.
Booster seats for kids. There we go.
So who has a business? Okay. When was the last? Did you check your business listing? Why? It used to be common practice. That's why you see like AAA landscapers, because they were going to be the first in the book. I mean, it doesn't matter that much anymore, right? Or does it? What about more specifically 411 directory? I don't know, did Joseph ever call 411 from your house phone? Because he was too lazy to get the phone book out to dial Domino's Pizza, and he's like, all right, Karen. Or he actually he's like, all right, Mom, I'm going to dial 411 Domino's Pizza.
Boom.
I did that, see. I did that all the time.
Yeah.
Did anybody else dial 411, or is it just me?
It costs like 75 cents, I think.
Yeah.
$100.
It was like 75 cents, and they were
Yes.
charging.
Yes.
And
Yep.
so I would do it, and then a month later I'd get yelled at for charging 75 cents because I was too lazy to get the phone book out. Have you checked your business 411? Did you know it's required for lending? It's one of these old, outdated systems.
Yes.
And why on earth do they still require this?
I have no idea. Oh, organic.
That's what it is. It was one of these systems that wasn't really easy to crack. It's not like you can just go onto Google and pay for an advertisement. You can't just go onto Google and put whatever you want. The phone book, it was when you're legitimately in business, you got put into the phone book. you could buy ads for the phone book. It was something that just happened organically over time. Now, we can expedite you into the 411. There's services out there that will expedite your 411 listing. And of course, they range, there's a wide range of different prices for those services, but you want to check your 411 to see if you're in the directory. If you're not, then I recommend you get listed. Some of them are even as expensive to really expedite it, like $360. It's kind of expensive. There's like a little niche for that. However, we do have like a corporate listing account. We can just put you in the batch with everybody else. So something to keep in mind. Oh, this. Who likes Google Voice numbers? Everybody has a Google Voice number?
Yes.
Oh,
You have
yeah,
A business number?
well,
Who has a business phone number?
I have
I do.
both.
What do you
I
mean
don't
by
use that.
business? What do you mean by business phone number?
Business phone number. A number for your business.
it's not a cell phone number, have to be from,
Different,
my
different from your
business
personal.
number. Wow.
Well, so the question is,
Separate from your personal
right.
phone number. Yeah.
So for your business number, we want a number that is registered to your business.
Hey, that's important, folks.
Not a personal cell phone number,
Not a person.
not a Google Voice number, because this is what they would think of you. This is really what it looks like. When you're using your personal cell phone numbers or using Google Voice numbers, this is what they just assume that you are. Now,
Burner phone.
yes, I'm saying that we're going to have some extra expenses. Now we got to get a business number. More money that's going out. But there's great services like Freight Invoice, where you can get an 800 number and a local number, because for the directory, you're going to need a local number. Very important to have a local business number registered to your business and get it for $10 a month. Now, it's not going to necessarily be, you can have it forward to your cell phone, but they come with, when you call a big business, they have like an introduction, you have mailboxes, you have this, that.
yeah.
It comes with a lot. You could just set it up and basically, press 1 for accounting. Boom, that goes to your cell phone. Press 2 for scheduling. Boom, go to your cell phone.
Mhm.
I mean, it just depends on how big your business is. But something like Freedom Voice allows you to grow, and also will register your business so you have a legitimate business phone number, which you will need to provide on credit applications, things like that, because they will run a check, and if it comes back as a personal number, then they'll flag you as an unestablished entity. That's really what it is.
So what is the name of these companies who provide these?
There's a lot. There's like Ring Central. There's Freedom Voice. I would just go online.
VoIP.
VoIP. Yeah, there's a lot of very inexpensive phone number services, and they have a wide range of services. They have answering services. I mean, I'm just saying, $9.99 is kind of like the starting point of having a dedicated business line. That's kind of like the starting price point. But it's one of these expenses that what's going to come out the other side. It's you're investing into your business, and then to get credibility up.
The credibility and the money.
And
the
Now-
your
profit.
phone is an expense off your taxes.
It is a business.
deduction.
Now I'm gonna cover a lot of things, and when I first found out about these things, I was like, I'm gonna have to change my whole business. And then we've even had discussions where, like, my original S corp, I'm going through the process of changing everything, and it's such a pain in the butt. But it needs to be done. It's just I put it off for a while, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna start other companies. It's easier to just start a new one that's all nice and pretty.
Mhm.
But I have the years on that, so I want to get it all up and running. Next thing, an email address. Now remember, everything that we're doing, we're talking about maximizing your lendability through lenders. Not saying that all this needs to be done right away, but if you want to access business lines of credit without a social security number, that's what we're doing here. Email address. Let's say I'm working with Joseph at the bank. All right, so I bank at Bank of America, and I'm working with Joseph. We're talking about, he needs some personal financial information, and I get an email about that. And this is the email address that I receive. Does anybody have any issues with that?
Gmail.
At gmail.com.
Does that Does that feel, I mean,
Feels wrong.
does it feel slightly off or?
Personal.
It's a personal.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel comfortable sending your personal financial information to that email address?
No.
Or if you get some kind of notification out of the blue, it's just like, oh, hey, you know, change of wiring instructions.
Right.
I don't know, just anything.
Big thing.
Why do we like
Huge.
Gmail?
It's free.
It is, it's free.
All of our free are not.
Why do lenders not like Gmail? Or
It's
yeah,
free.
it's
Because
secure.
it's
It's free.
for common people, like we, like
Perfect.
anyone, anybody.
Because
In
it's free.
30 seconds, I can go and create a Gmail account.
Yes.
30
Yes.
seconds.
Yes.
Now, how do I feel about this? Oh, well, you know, this is the Bank of America domain. I know that they have security in that. It's a whole lot harder to hack into that encrypted system. And then if this is transferred through Gmail, Yahoo, any legitimate email site is not going, it's pretty hard to infiltrate that right now.
Secure.
It's secure. Well, they say it is, but it could always, they're not saying that he can't be hacked, but
I spoke to him about that.
yeah,
But
it can always be hacked.
Yeah.
But
It's better than the other one.
whatever your business is, it's very inexpensive to go get a domain for it. A business domain. You can go to namecheap.com. I like that. There's other services like GoDaddy.
Name what?
Namecheap.com. You can check out GoDaddy, HostGator. I mean, there's all sorts of things out there that you can have websites and things.
Or what?
Go daddy.
GoDaddy. GoDaddy.
HostGator.
Just say it. You can say it to me just a little bit louder. But you know, getyourbusiness.com or your business.
So we need
or-
a domain and then create that. You have to pay for the domain monthly or,
Yearly.
oh, yearly.
Many times you can find things less than $10 for the first year for the actual name. And then there is a fee depending on if you pay for the year. It could be $45 a year for email. Some
Vista Print has where you can do websites and stuff like that, and it's first for the free trial thing is for a month, and then it's $20 a year after that.
$20 a year. There you go. These are those costs. Yeah, there's all these little costs that are going to add up, but our goal is for you to spend the money where it actually needs to be spent to create the biggest sense of legitimacy. Your clients are going to like that you have a professional email. They're really going to like that, especially if you're in real estate and you're dealing with hundreds of thousands of dollars of transactions. I see it now and I'm like, really? You can buy my house cash, but you can't pay for email? I just see it now, and then now that I bring it to your attention, hopefully you'll see it too.
Yes.
But you may have always felt something slightly off about it, but you never could put words to it. So,
Yeah, this is amazing.
what about a stop work order? Because hopefully I've never ran into this problem. So this typically takes place when you're doing work without the right permits, and the city or the county comes in and puts a stop to what you're doing. Not having the right credentials will put a stop to your business credit. And when we get into licensing, okay, typically you're working on you got your licensing, you're getting your contractor's license. Okay, that's super important because you run liability risk when you don't have that necessarily. And there's certain limitations, okay? You can't really do jobs. We're not technically not supposed to do jobs over like $1,000. And so it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna do 10 $800 jobs. And so that's important. But on your license, you'll want that to line up with your business. And there's other licensed professionals that you're going to want your license to match up with your business. Now, there's certain situations where you can't necessarily have that happen. Sometimes in real estate and realtors, sometimes you have to have your broker's address. It just depends on the situation. But for the most part, any licensed professional, you'll want to have the license address with the business. And that can create denials if you don't. The other thing is, many times if licenses expire, that could create denials. Not having the right licensing could create denials. And then of course, as people move on and their business grows and expands, they just don't keep it updated. So it's very, very important to make sure addresses, phone numbers, everything is always continuously updated. Oh, and I forgot something. Back to the website thing. Lenders actually don't necessarily care if you have a website. I know we kind of talked about having a domain name here. You can have this, there just may not be a website there. So don't stress out about having a website right away. If you do have a website though, it's very important. Everything on there matches perfectly. We can't ever try to hide. Like me, sending people to my mom's, I was trying to hide. I didn't want them to know where my business really was because I was afraid that they were going to steal stuff. If lenders don't understand why I'm trying to hide, they just know that I'm doing something deceitful. And that, you know, Walmart, does Walmart hide? They don't hide. They know they have their address, their phone number. They have 800 numbers. And that's why I like having 800 numbers and local numbers, because I look at somebody like Walmart. What does Walmart do? Oh, Walmart.
Put you on hold.
And you can't even get help there if you even go. I said I do what Walmart does. I don't necessarily should go to Walmart because I can't get any help. Next, you could do what Ray does, or what Ray did when I didn't know how to run a business and I ran everything through cash, my personal account. They want to see that you have a business bank account. Creditors basically look at when you established your business bank account. So if you have not opened a business bank account, that'll be what you're going to do tomorrow. Because the day you start your business bank account is the day technically you're in business. There's guys I talk to all the time. There were guys I worked with back being a handyman. 10 years they've been doing this. Don't have an LLC, been running everything cash and check through their personal name. And they're like, well, been in business forever. And I'm like, well, we're gonna start your business tomorrow. Really, I mean, gotta get you in. Now let me clarify something. Even though you're a sole proprietor, you can still build business credit. You're just not gonna get very far. You can get a couple of little 30-day accounts, but other than that, it's gonna stop. And I'll dive into the account aspect in just a minute. But you want to have a business bank account. Everything matches on there as well, in that we actually have a legitimate business funding entity set up. Now, after that, let's go back. Not go back. There we go. Okay, so in review, business name, business address, phone number. We didn't cover fax number, but that's another important thing. Many services that you get your phone number from will have a fax number. Many times you'll need to fax in applications, but nowadays it's pretty much send an email and then they turn it into a fax, and then it's usually received as an email anyway. So I wouldn't stress out too much about fax numbers, but it's important that you're going to need that for applications. Also the email address, then we need to go over and check to make sure the Secretary of State, the IRS, licensing authorities, your bank, your website, credit bureaus, 411.com, want to make sure that all of them have the right information. So let's say you're going down this, going down that, oh, I don't have my 411, 15-yard penalty, loss of business credit. I know, that was your key to whistle. I'm just going to have to carry a whistle.
There you go.
That was more like a hum. Okay, but it's a big issue because the computers are not going to miss us. They really aren't.
Oh, you better put that back. People are
Ooh, perfect.
Nice.
Any
Perfect.
questions
Penalty, loss
so
of business
far?
credit.
Questions so far?
It's perfect.
How we doing?
You guys have any questions?
Yeah, we got to pick
Any
it up.
questions? Step one.
But so basically, everything that we're doing up to this point is this is just the foundational aspects.
Yes.
This is really just getting it ready.
Yes.
people can download the guide, so you can.
Oh yeah, of course. Download the guide. We'll have it in there as well.
You don't have to do it alone.
We'll get you set up before you go.
Okay.
So foundation, before we even start playing the game, this is getting the company set up. I heard it from John. Dun & Bradstreet. Who's heard of Dun & Bradstreet? Okay, so Dun & Bradstreet is the controller, the ruler of business credit. So we talked about Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Dun & Bradstreet runs the world of business credit. Now, there's also some smaller, Equifax and Experian have some small business chapters to them, but Dun & Bradstreet is the biggest. You cannot actually start building true business credit until you have an ID number with Dun & Bradstreet, and we call it a DUNS number. So the DUNS number is something you have to get set up with Dun & Bradstreet. Now, this is another thing that we help people with because they're going to ask you a lot of questions. They work on data. They're going to ask you your income, your revenue. They're going to ask you a million questions. And the same thing, all those basic information needs to line up with Dun & Bradstreet. But also, you can't answer everything because there's going to be certain things that could come back to hurt you. Let's just use like income, for example. If you're a startup and you're like, well, I'm still startup mode, haven't really made any money, boom, big red mark. In their file, they're not going to tell you that. Oh, that sounds good. Oh, great. What kind of business? Blah, blah, blah. Go to get some lending. They're going to say this company has no revenue. So they're not going to give you any money.